So let me confirm, and then we can make an introduction and start. I think we are on time. Okay. So let me see how many people here. We have 200. It's increasing. Let's wait a few minutes, but I think I can make a brief introduction. Okay, I confirmed. I think we are recording now. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first lecture. And let me introduce myself. My name is Nurşen Aydın. I'm an associate professor of operational research and analytics in ISMA group. I don't know whether you heard about ISMA. It is Information Systems Management and Analytics Group in WBS. My main specialty is on operational research, optimization models, data-driven decision-making, machine learning models, and in general, data analytics. And I am heavily involved in analytics in practice module. I am the module leader. I am teaching this module in the past 7 years, except last year. Last year I was on study leave, but I just returned, and this year I am ready with my new lecture material. I love this module. I hope you will enjoy it through the year. I am also involved in some other modules in MSBA program. I'm teaching pricing analytics, elective in term 2. You may see my name in data management module as well, but I'm not directly teaching it. So I'm involved in that module, but I'm not going to deliver it. So I know the MSBA program well, and we will have plenty of opportunities actually through the year to meet with, to have a conversation and have face-to-face interaction. Today we have our online lecture, but from next week, actually, we will know each other better and we will meet in person, okay? So occasionally I'm going to check the room chat, but if you see that I don't answer your questions, that means actually I'm explaining the topic and I don't want to interrupt the whole classroom while discussing. So let's say in several stops, I will check the room chat to see whether you have any questions. I will try to answer them during the lecture, but if we don't have enough time, we can cover them at the end of the lecture, or we can continue to discuss in the workshop. And I will also discuss it today. There are some spaces in the module page where you can post your questions if you don't have enough time to discuss it during the lecture time or workshop time, okay? Yeah, I think everything looks fine. I don't see any problems on the chat, so I believe everyone can hear me and can see the slides. So please let me know if there are any issues. Okay, so let's start. So over the next several weeks, we will actually explore how analytics can be applied in real business contexts, from understanding data, building models, interpreting insights. And today we will start with an introduction to the module, Analytics in Practice. I will explain the module structure, and I will give some brief information about the content as well. Then we will make an introduction to whole analytics world, and in the workshops, we will actually learn how to implement some of the things we discussed in the lectures. So as you see in here, this is the brief agenda for this week and also for the next week for our workshop. Some steps will be discussed in the workshop, like data understanding, data preparation. We will use Python to actually have hands-on implementation of our learning. So this agenda is for this week's lecture and plus the workshop for the next week. So workshops scheduled either on Monday or Tuesday based on your group allocation, but I will see you either on Monday or Tuesday face-to-face, okay? So just a second. Okay, let's go with the next slide. So before starting with the module itself, I would like to just nudge your mind and actually ask this question to you. What is data analytics? So let's take a moment and think about this question. So when I say you data analytics, what comes to your mind? Please use the chat box. Let's start discussing and keep engaging during this 1-hour live lecture. So when I say you, what is data analytics? What do you think about? Please feel free to use the chat box. Okay, I see one answer. Using data to help make decisions. Okay, a really good start, definitely. Big data, getting insights from the data, transforming data into valuable insights, finding patterns. Oh, lots of messages are coming up, so I'm quite actually slow to catch with you. Transferring raw data to actionable insights, optimizing data to its full potential, using data to get business intelligence, making informed decisions. Yeah, these are really, really good answers. Making sense of data. Yeah, we all have some information, some idea about data analytics. Really good answers. Okay, so as you mentioned, it is all about driving insights and conclusions from the data. We use historical data sets. We call them sometimes raw data, past data, historical data. We actually analyze it and we try to extract some meaning between the relation of different features or variables in our data set. So data analytics itself involves applying algorithmic or statistical processes to drive insights from data sets or make predictions using the raw historical data sets. Okay? So analytics can be considered as the bridge between data and action. So we just don't provide insights, obtain insight from the past data. We also identify the actions we take from learning from the data set. Okay, we learn some patterns, we get some insights, and then we take actions based on those insights. And analytics is the bridge between this data and action. Okay, so data analytics can be actually divided into three subgroups. The first one is descriptive analytics. As its name implies, we describe, summarize the raw historical data. So let me have my pen. Okay, here. Just a second. Okay. So descriptive analytics is about the, oops, why my pen is not working? Sorry, I need to turn this way to help me out. Oops. Okay, my pen is not working, unfortunately. Yeah, that's descriptive. Okay, so descriptive analytics is about the past. What has happened in the past? Okay, so we summarize the historical data, understand what happened in the past. The second actually subtopic is predictive analytics. Now, we use insights obtained from the historical data to make predictions for the future. For instance, let's say we analyze the historical financial market data to predict future stock prices. And it actually answers the question, what is likely to happen? So it's about the future, we make predictions. The third subtopic is the prescriptive analytics. Now, the question is, what should we do about our predictions? What we learn from the past historical data, we know some insights already, we make predictions, but what should we do about it? So we use those insights obtained from the data, obtained from our predictions to make informed decisions. So predictive analytics is actually data-driven decision making. We use optimization, simulation analysis to take actions on the learned patterns or predictions from the data set. So these three levels actually build on each other. We move from hindsight to foresight, okay? And in this module, we will mainly focusing on predictive analytics, so the second one. And in other modules, you are going to focus on the descriptive analytics side and prescriptive analytics side. So for instance, your business statistics module is mainly about descriptive analytics. You may touch upon predictive analytics as well, but you mainly focus on past historical data to learn or get insights from it. On the other hand, prescriptive analytics is data-driven decision making, and it is mainly cover optimization and simulation. So your optimization models module is actually prescriptive analytics under the prescriptive analytics group. Okay. So let me introduce you to the teaching team, and I am the module leader. As you see here, you see my office number and my email. So anytime, if you have any questions, if you would like to discuss anything about the module or overall MSBA program, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to deliver this module with my colleague, Siamak Nadari. You already met with him on Monday, I believe. You had the optimization models module. And Siamak is going to deliver the last few weeks in this module, Analytics and Practice. He will mainly cover the data visualization using Tableau. So he will actually teach you how to communicate your results, your analysis using Tableau. And we also have two graduate teaching assistants, Ömer and Daniel. You are going to meet with them in the next couple of weeks. They will help me during the workshops, and they will help you out with your software-related questions. And today or tomorrow, we are going to actually announce the office hour time. So Daniel and Ömer, they are going to organize office hours every week. This will be online, but whenever you have any questions related to the software that you are using, you can always contact them, attend office hours, and also get help technical to resolve your technical questions. Okay. So let me see whether there are any questions at this stage. Okay. Do you have specific office hours, or can we just drop by your office any day if we have any questions? So I don't schedule any specific office hours, since during the year, your questions, actual intensity of the module changes, and you may, at some weeks, you may have lots of questions, at some weeks, you may not have anything. So you can always contact us through our emails, and we would be happy to organize an office hour if necessary. And I will also describe in the next couple of slides where you can post your questions in the module, and how we can actually communicate much more efficiently during the year. But overall, we don't have any specific office hours. We are happy to organize if you need any. For teaching assistants, Ömer and Daniel, they are going to hold office hours every week so that you can ask any technical questions related to programming during those office hours. Okay. One question from chat: what is the difference between forecasting and predictive analysis? Actually, forecasting can be considered under predictive analytics. And in predictive analytics, since we forecast the future, forecasting methods can be considered under that umbrella. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, why I can't move? Yep. Okay. So software tools, we are going to mainly use two tools in this module. One of them is Python. You have already made an introduction to Python last week, right? Introduction to Python workshop. And from my perspective, you can either use Jupyter Notebook or Google Colab. Both of them are fine. In the past, we had some internet issues during the workshops, and this may actually affect the Google Colab. Therefore, I generally prefer Jupyter Notebook, but it's totally up to you to use any Python tool that you are feeling comfortable with. I believe you have already installed Anaconda, and you already have Python up and running in your laptops, but please make sure if you don't have it running, you may not want to come to the workshop without any Python, so it may affect your effectiveness. So please make sure you have Python installed up and running before your first workshop next week. So as you know, as probably Siamak discussed it last week, Python is most common language. That's the reason why we use it in MSBA program. It is generally considered one of the easiest programming languages to learn. You have already received DataCamp invitation, I believe, from the program team. Please engage with DataCamp. It's a really good tool to get basic knowledge of Python or other programming languages as well, like R programming. You can build on your skill set, you can build on your portfolio, and you can use it as a kind of additional, actually, help, DataCamp as additional help for the Analytics and Practice module, for Business Statistics module. It's quite useful, okay? Please make sure that you have been actually enrolled with DataCamp. So the second tool is Tableau. Tableau is generally considered as one of the most popular data visualization tool. Unfortunately, it's not free, but for the students, it's free. So we will send you the installation link. You will have access for a year, and actually you can renew your access at the end of the year. You have one additional year to use Tableau. It's really easy to use. Actually, you don't need to do any programming. It's just point and click interface, and it can be integrated with different programming languages as well, and also Gen AI. It has been actually integrated with Gen AI, so it's quite useful as well. So it is quite powerful. You can obtain really good visualizations and also dashboards. So Siamak is going to cover this at the end of the module. Okay. So let's see the roadmap, module content for the whole term. So we have overall 9 weeks. This week, we will make an introduction to data analytics, and we will also discuss how to actually think about data analytics projects. From next week, we will start with hands-on implementation. And in the next 6 weeks, we will mainly focus on data analytics side using Python. And then in week 7, 8, and 9, we are going to focus on data visualization with Tableau. And around week 6, we are going to invite a guest lecturer. So we will actually invite a practitioner from industry, and they are going to discuss some of the real applications that you are learning from this module, how they are implemented in real life, what are the main problems, and actually you can get a lot of insights from practitioners, how your learning would be actually help you in the future. So we will start with fundamentals. We will build from data understanding, data preparation to modeling, and then at the end with visualization, you will learn how to communicate your results to the, let's say, end users or managers or your team members. Okay. So as you all know, we have blended learning structure. So we have online lectures. On top of it, we have face-to-face workshops. Therefore, I would like to discuss some of the format and delivery activities in this module. So before the lectures on Thursday, you might be asked to read have some readings. So I'm going to show you the lecture book in the next slide, but most of the readings would be from that lecture book, coursework. And I will direct you to the specific pages or specific chapters that might be useful to read before you come to the workshops or lectures. And I generally recommend you complete those pre-readings if you ask to do so, since this will help you to engage more and learn more during the lecture hour. There might be some software-related exercises that you need to complete before coming to the workshops. And this will also help you to build on your skill set and try to identify the potential improvement areas that you need specific, let's say, attention. So all of these will be posted on the module page. I recommend you to check the module page every day, every morning or every night, so that you can catch up with the announcements. And during the live session like today, we are going to, on the online lectures actually, we are going to discuss topics. There won't be any coding in the live lectures. We will mainly discuss the topics, theory, and in the workshops, I also call them in-person lecture workshops. We may continue to discuss some of the content, since 1 hour may not be enough to discuss or cover all of the contents. We can continue during our workshops. It will also include hands-on implementation with Python. Okay? So your workshops are either on Monday or Tuesday. You may already know it. Please bring your laptop. And as I mentioned, please make sure that you have Python installed already. And after, I recommend you to review and practice. So after the lectures, you can review the lecture material. After the workshops, you can practice what we have done during the workshop. This will help you to memorize, since during the term, although in first few weeks, the topics are quite easy to follow. During the term, you may be involved in some other lectures and some other, let's say, coursework, and the topics are going to build up, so it might be difficult to catch up. If you review and practice after the lectures or workshops, it will definitely help you to catch up much more easily. And if you have any questions, as I mentioned, you can always contact us to get more clarity. Okay. So this is the reading list. This is on the module page. If you go to AIP module page, under the reading list tab, you will see the books we are going to use. The main book is Data Science for Business. So I'm going to refer to the chapters from this book that are actually covered during the lectures and workshops. And this book is available online. You can read it online. You can download it. It's also available in the library, but as far as I know, you can only keep it for a specific time since it's a course book. They can only lend it for a specific time, maybe a few weeks only. But as I mentioned, it's online and it's quite easy to reach. And there are 2 other books related to Python programming. Please feel free to check those books as well. They are also online. But I think it's better to have experience with DataCamp for Python, since there are specific Python courses like Introduction to Python, Intermediate Python, or more advanced Python. So you can definitely engage more with DataCamp regarding your programming development, skill set development. So let's see whether there are any questions. Okay. Oh, one comment. This is just to inform. Wi-Fi is down, so a lot of students are not able to attend this class. Can you hear me well, or do you have any problems right now? I don't see any messages. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I see everything is good. That's good. So session is recorded. Unfortunately, if your friends, peers missed the session, they can listen later on. And as I mentioned, I would be happy to go over if there are any ambiguities or unclear parts. So one question is, can Power BI use instead of Tableau? You can use Power BI, but not in the course. Since CMAC is going to use Tableau in the workshops mainly and in the lecture hour, I recommend you to use Tableau as well, but definitely you can try Power BI as well. So there is no barrier to not using it. Okay. One question, any other courses in DataCamp you recommend that are specifically helpful for this module? I recommend you to just check Python ones, but in the past we were using R programming in this module, so they are quite similar to each other. If you want to learn R, you can go in parallel and practice for both languages. Okay. So let's move to the next slide. I think this one is the most important slide for you today, right? Okay. So assessment. We have 2 types of assessments in this module. One of them is group assignment. It has 40% weight. Group assignment is going to be released around week 5, so you can expect it by the mid of November, and it will be submitted by the end of the term, week 10. The dates will be announced by the program team, and the group assignment is about a data mining project, and you may ask how you are going to form the groups. This will be automatically done by the program team. If you haven't heard from the program team yet, it will be announced in due time, so you will know your group. You will mainly work on a project, and you are going to submit 2 things. One of them is the report submission, and the other one is the presentation. So as a group, we will ask you to present your findings in a short presentation. Since we are a huge cohort, we will ask you to record your presentation and submit it as a video. And with your video presentation, you are going to submit a report as well, okay? So if you have any questions about the assessment, please feel free to post it. The other assessment type is the exam. So exam will be written exam, and all exams for MSBA actually will take place at the beginning of January. So the timetable will be announced by the program team as well. For the exam, please make sure that we will not ask you to code anything, or we are not going to test your coding skills. Exam is just about your learning from the whole module. Okay, so you don't need to worry about programming or remembering the codes overall in this particular module. So coding is just to show you how you implement things, but it's not the main purpose of this module. We are not here to teach you how to code. We are here to teach you how to perform data analytics projects. Okay. So is the exam closed book? Exam is closed book. You will have access to the past exam papers. So if you search for Warwick past exam papers, there's a link in the library. You can check this for any module, not just for AIP. For any module, you can see past exam papers, and there is kind of they can serve as a sample. One question for the groups: is the group formed by the school? Yeah, program team is going to form your group for the AIP module, and for other modules, your groups could be different. So it will be all actually handled by the program team. So you don't need to do anything about it. Okay, so I don't see any other questions for the assessment. Oh, that's good. Let me check. Yeah. Oops. Okay. Yeah. But let me just take a. Okay. So this is all done for the module structure. Just before going into this, I just want to let you know that on the module page, when you go to the module page, if you go to the module forum, you will see there are two tabs, one for the Python related questions, one for the module content related questions. Please feel free to use the module forum to post your questions. If you have any unclarity or if you encounter any issues, you can use the module forum to post your questions, and your GTAs and myself, we are going to constantly check the module forum to help you out, okay? You can also send us an email to discuss your questions. Okay. So let me check my time. Okay, great. Let's start thinking more about data mining. Let's look at an example of real analytics problem. So assume that, imagine, you are working as a data scientist for a telecommunication company. And this company is facing customer churn problem, customer retention. So what do I mean? The customers do not renew their contracts at the end of their membership. Let's say when you using your phone, you can have yearly membership or monthly membership from a telecommunication provider company, and at the end of your contract, you don't renew it. So this problem is known as customer retention or customer churn problem. And this imaginary telecommunication company is facing this issue. The management would like to minimize this churn since it's a quite huge financial loss for them. They would like to keep their customers. As a data scientist, the company manager gives you some historical data. So this data keeps information about customer status, like whether customer has a job, whether they are students or not, how long they are working, where they live, how long they are with the telecommunication company, what type of, let's say, phone set they are using, their income level. So they have all of these information about the customers. They have also information about the contract type, like let's say how many minutes they are using every month, what is the internet usage, and they also keep information maybe about the phone type, so on and so forth. Okay, so you all have, as a data scientist, you have access to this data set. On top of it, in this historical data, you already know which customers left, so they are end their contract and didn't renew it, and you also know which customers are still with the company. So the company would like to identify these churners, and the question is, how would you start? So how do you know which customers are going to leave? What would you do? So what would be your action as a data scientist? So let me check the chat box again. How would you start given this historical data? So I am seeing some answers in the chat, like segment both customers, customer types, churners and leavers. Is this what you mean by segmentation? Okay, let's see. Any other, oops, sorry. Any other answers? So you're given this historical data. Let's say this is our data. Now I fix my pen. The question is, what would be your initial step? Okay, understand data, prep data, clean data, identify customer based on their usage, look at the data to find some patterns, check historical churns, check customer journey, subscription. Okay, which customers are leave based on the features, define some factors. Yeah, really good answers again. Try to find pattern. Okay, retention up to now. Process the data, look for pattern trend in customers who left the service, check their satisfaction, group customers. Okay, really good answers. That's really good. So as we discussed in the previous example, when we discussing the data analytics, this is similar. So our main aim is to use historical data to identify patterns in our data. So now we are at the predictive analytics side. We are going to make prediction. Our main aim is to identify which customers are going to leave in the future. So this is a very small example. Here we have our, let's say, historical data. Okay, this is our data set. The manager give us this data set. We know customer age, calls in terms of minutes, internet usage, and this class variable is actually shows whether this customer churn or still with the company. So stay means this is a current customer. Leave means this customer left, didn't renew the contract. So we use this historical data, and then we call this data as training. So we use this data to train, actually to teach our model to learn from the relationship between the features. So this process is kind of under data mining, and we use this data to build our model. So here we have kind of decision tree example, but please don't focus on it. We will discuss it later in the lectures. We use this historical data to build our model. So model actually means how these variables interacting with each other. So we use these three to make a prediction for the fourth one. So we are trying to learn the relation between these two groups. And this is called modeling. Then what we do, we use this model after we build it, we use this model to make prediction. Now it's about the prediction time. Given a new customer, so let's say this customer has an age of 20, making 100-minute calls every month and using 2 gigabytes of internet every month. So given this information, we give this information to our model, and our model is going to make a prediction whether this customer is going to stay or whether this customer is going to leave. And according to this example, this particular customer is going to leave with probability 0.88. So there's a high chance this customer is going to leave the company or do not renew the contract. So overall aim in predictive analytics is to identify our main objective. So in this case, it's churners, identify churners. And then in data analytics, as I mentioned, it's the bridge between data and action. The management would like to minimize these churners, so they will take an action. That's where they use prescriptive analytics or some advanced tools how to treat those customers. Okay. So you all give great answers. So we are trying to understand from our data the relationship between the variables. In this case, we are trying to understand what is the main impact on the, let's say, churners, customers who left the company. And then based on it, we built our model and we use this model to make a prediction. So this is what we are going to cover in the next couple of weeks. Any questions at this stage? Okay. Yeah, I see really good answers. Like we start with cleaning. Definitely we will discuss those steps. Data processing is a huge burden, very important step. And actually we will discuss it in the upcoming slides. Okay. So let's continue to discuss over our example here, telecommunication example. So the manager would like to minimize churners, they would like to minimize the cost, and they ask us to identify those those churners. So how we are going to manage this? We are not just going to build one model and then use that model to make predictions. Since this is a real business case, if you just build one model and use it to make predictions, at the end there's a huge risk and financial risk. If our model is not working well, if the predictions are wrong, then it will have a huge financial burden. So there should be a way to handle these type of problems, these type of projects. So there's a framework called Cross-Industry Standard Process for Data Mining. In short, we call it CRISP-DM. And in this framework, we actually have a systematic way of treating analytics project. It has 6 steps, as you see in here. So we have business understanding, data preparation, modeling, evaluation, and deployment. Overall, we can actually divide these 6 steps into 4 stages. In stage 1, we actually focus on business context. We try to understand the problem, okay? So we will discuss it in the next slide in more detail. But stage 1 is all about the business context, understanding what we want to solve. Stage 2 is focusing on the data side. So we are going to understand our data and we are going to prepare our data. So this is a really important step since we are going to learn from the data set. If our data is wrong, if it is misleading, if there's a bias, some issues, then whole process will be just useless. So there is a very well-known term, garbage in, garbage out. If we give garbage to our model, then our predictions will be garbage as well. So we need to make sure our data is prepared enough, good enough to use for modeling. Then stage 3 is about the analytical modeling. So we are going to build several models, it's not just one model, since we need to have some benchmarks. We need to understand whether the model we are going to use at the end is working well. So we need to have some comparison. Therefore, in the modeling stage, we will mainly focus on modeling and model evaluation. So with these 2 steps, we are going to decide actually which model to deploy at the end. And stage 4 is all about implementation. Okay? So CRISP-DM is a very well-known framework to formalize data mining projects. It is well-known, it is used by the practitioners, professional bodies, and it's aligned with lots of analytics certificates. So if at the end of your degree, if you would like to apply for official analytics certificates, you will see that CRISP-DM methodology, CRISP-DM framework actually covered or looked for in those analytics certificate programs. Okay, so this framework ensures that all projects is structured, they are reproducible, and aligned with the business goals like identifying those churners and at the end minimizing the retention in the company. Okay, so let's start with business understanding. Every data analytics project starts not with data, okay? We start with a question. The first stage in business understanding is about clarifying why we are doing the project. What is the problem we are trying to solve, okay? You just don't jump into the data. This is a very big mistake. You need to have a clear understanding of the problem. What are the requirements for the business? At the end, the managers will value your work if it addresses the problem they are actually tackling, they want to address, okay? You want to develop a project or model, let's say, which interests to the management team. So in the business context, analytics is only valuable if it can help to achieve the goal defined by the managers or let's say business leaders or by the, team. Okay, like reducing churn, improving sales, or finding the best prices, or forecasting the demand. So based on the objective, you decide on your whole analytics project. So there are some small tasks under this step. We start with business background, okay? So, and we identify the business goals, what we want to achieve, like minimizing those churns. And we need to assess our situation, okay? What resources we have. What are the risks? What are the contingencies? If something goes wrong, what is the next plan? So we need to assess our situation. What are the resources available to us? Every business have limitations, constraints, which affect the data mining project, such as resources available for the project. This may include people, data, hardware, software, legal requirements, ethical issues. So there are lots of different things you need to consider, assess the situation. And in these analytics projects, you always work as a team. So you communicate with different teams to actually understand what you are available to you and what are the potential issues you may encounter during the project. And third task is identify your data mining goals. So you need to, at the end, measure whether your project is successful or not. So you need to define a success criteria. This is also defined with the expectations from the other teams, or let's say managers. If you would like to minimize churners by 10%, then you need to definitely build a model to identify those churners and help the whole business to minimize it by 10% or by the success criteria. And the last one is producing your project plan. So this is about identifying the milestones and kind of structuring the whole implementation. So this business understanding part will be widely discussed in your other module, Understanding Business for Analysts. Therefore, we will have an understanding of the business context in analytics and practice, but it's not our main goal here, okay? We will mainly focusing on how to actually proceed in this particular stage in APFA. Okay. So let me, at this stage, take a moment to see whether you have any questions. Okay. So now I will actually ask you a question. Let me go. If you have your phones with you, could you please go to this QR code to see the question and let me know whether you have access to the session. Oh, I'm going a little bit slow. Can you see the question? Okay. So this is the question, but let me go to the next slide. The poll should be open now. So you have the initial project meeting with a client. Which of the following is the most important information? So please don't be tricked by the question. It asks the most important information to obtain. I'm not sure. The previous slide is exactly the same. Actually, the question. You mean the question? Or you mean the business understanding, business issue? Oh, don't give the answer. Okay. I think we are almost done. Yes. So let's preparing the results and yeah. So the most important one, since they are all important, but the most important one is the business issue and project goal. Without knowing the issue, what you are going to solve, you can't actually decide on the analytical model to use. You can't plan your timetable or implementation, and you don't know the available budget. So you need to first identify the business issue and project goal. Okay, this is the most important step in business understanding. Okay. So this next step is data understanding. Okay, still we have time. So every step of a data mining project depends on having the right data, right? We said that we are trying to understand the patterns in our data set, and we need to make sure we have the right data for the project. So in this stage, therefore, in data understanding stage, we first assess the data we have, what we have. As in the telecommunication example, the company may provide you some historical data about customers, but you may need some additional data sets as well. For instance, you may want to know your competitors. Maybe historical data doesn't have any information about the competitors. So we need to understand the strengths and limitations of the data we have, okay? And we need to also outline the data requirements for the data mining project. So this is, I call it as the kind of detective work. You go through your data, you try to understand what are the problems, what are the limitations, whether it is needed to collect additional data sets or whether you need to purchase it. So collect initial data can be costly as well. We need to think about the cost and benefits of the data sources, whether it's worthwhile to purchase additional data. So the tasks we perform at this stage is collecting initial data, describing the data set. So you need to understand what are the features. Since during the data collection stage, there might be errors. It's really easy to make errors. That they may use abbreviations or let's say ambiguity. There might be ambiguity in the data collection. So you need to kind of, as a detective, you need to actually identify all of these potential issues. So we often use, at this stage, summary statistics, visualization tools like histograms, box plots, correlation plots to understand what we have as a data set, okay? And then we describe the data, we understand our limitations, and we move to the data preparation step. So at this stage, we process the data and we prepare it for modeling. So it covers all activities, obtain the final data set from the initial raw data you have. So this third stage with data understanding, actually both of them, where we spend most of the time for an analytics project. It generally takes around 60 to 80% of the project effort. So it's a huge effort goes into this particular stage. The reason is if our data is not good enough, then the whole results, whole insights we obtain at the end will be rubbish. Okay, so it's very, very important step. The goal is to transform raw messy data into clean, structured format, which is ready for modeling. So at this stage, we can combine several data sets. We can select data. So what do I mean? Let's say we have really big data set with terabytes, gigabytes, let's say. We can't run the whole model on it. It takes a lot of time. So we select a subset, representative subset from this data, and then we work on that subset. We perform cleaning, like we identify the missing values, incorrect entries, correlation problems, outliers. So we treat all of those here. If it is required, we reduce the dimensionality of the data. We change the format. So at the end, it will become ready for modeling, okay? Remember that poor data preparation leads us to unreliable models. How advanced your model is, if your data set is wrong, your results will be wrong. The question we generally ask at this stage before moving to modeling is that whether our data is ready for modeling or do we need further preparation. Okay. So modeling is the fourth step, which is generally for the students, it's the more exciting stage. So here now we apply analytical techniques to identify patterns, relationship. We make predictions using our data. So we decide, first of all, which modeling technique is suitable for our project. So there are different types of models, like classification models. We will mainly focusing on classification models in this module. They generally classify a particular outcome, like churner, not churner, whether that customer is going to make a fraudulent transaction or not, or whether a patient has cancer or not. So we make classification outcome prediction at the end. If we want to predict a quantity, like house prices or stock prices or weather, let's say, temperature changes over the next few days, then we use regression type of models or time series type of models. Okay. If we want to segment our customers, then we use clustering type of model. So based on the data mining objective, what we want to do, it is also based on, if you go back, it is based, data mining objective is based on the business objective. We decide which modeling techniques are suitable to use. And then we build our model in the modeling stage. Then step 5 is evaluation. Now we evaluate the quality results of our model. Okay, so here we actually go back and forth between modeling and evaluation stage, since sometimes when we evaluate the results may not be satisfactory, and then we can go back, try to improve our model. Okay, so at this stage we check a few things. We assess the data mining results. We check whether they satisfy the data mining goals, success criteria we set at the beginning. We also check whether we can improve our model. If the results are not satisfactory, then we can go back, try to tune or improve our model. We also evaluate the practical use. So in the modeling stage, it's not always the accuracy of the model. We also think about practicability, usability. So based on the business problem, the model that you are going to use may not be suitable. For instance, the managers, this generally happens in the healthcare area, healthcare analytics, they may want to understand how we make a prediction, what is actually behind that prediction. So you may look for more interpretable models rather than complex black box models. So there is always kind of trade-off between accuracy, interpretability, or accuracy and usability. You need to always understand the business needs when you decide on which model to choose at the end. Okay. So we said that we evaluate the results. We check whether we can improve the model or not. We also review the whole process. Now, let's say your model working is really well, but you miss some steps along the process. So there's a risk your model in the future may not work well. So in the training side, it has really promising results, but if you spot any issues in the CRISP-DM methodology, in the whole framework, in the implementation, in the remaining steps, then you may need to go back and fix that issue before going to the deployment stage. Since deployment is real-world practice, and when you deploy the model, the results would be much more less worse if you don't treat them on time. Okay. And yeah, before finalizing the lecture, I would like to discuss deployment, and then we will continue during the workshop. So deployment is the last step, now where we implement the data mining model in some information system, or we can directly implement to the business process. So deployment is the last stage. We don't directly implement the model, use the model. We actually first need to plan deployment. Since this is a huge change for the business itself, you can't directly change the whole system. There should be always kind of test before the final deployment, let's say, migration from the current manual practices to the new analytics implementation. We generally consider implementation only a portion of the organization to see how effective is the new tool. As I mentioned in the evaluation step in the previous stages, you may have an understanding how this model is going to work in the future, but without implementing it, you can't really know it. So therefore, we start with small baby steps. We first implemented only a portion. We observe the results. Data mining project is a cycle. It's not just one step. We always plan maintenance. We observe, we collect some information about the model success. Let's say we assume that we are going to predict 90% of the churners, and initially our model is actually achieving that particular target, but we need to continue to monitor it. if we see any drop, there might be changes in the system, there might be changes in the environment, maybe new competitor come into place, or maybe customer profile changes, or COVID may happen. So there might be lots of things. You need to always keep an eye on it, and we will always monitor how the model is working and whether achieving our target. If you spot any issues, we will always plan maintenance. So here we have actually 2 examples I would like to discuss a little bit more about, but let me quickly check whether there are any questions. Okay, there is one question. I will take that question at the end. So let me just give these 2 examples. Okay. So there are 2 examples actually. One of them is from Amazon. I'm not sure whether you have seen this one in the past, but Amazon had a huge issue with AI recruitment tool. So I don't remember exact date, but I think it may be 10 years, less than 10 years. So Amazon uses an AI to recruit new candidates. Since there are lots of applications happening every day, there are lots of CV uploads. They can't actually eliminate those CVs. So they are using AI to do the initial kind of elimination or initial filtering. They use this AI actually automate the whole hiring process by using historical data from previous applicants. And the idea was simple, really simple. Train a model to identify most promising candidates, checking their CVs based on past hiring decisions and where are those hired people right now, okay? The problem was actually the whole historical data has bias in it, existing human bias. For instance, Amazon is a technical company and most roles were male dominant. And when they give this whole past data to the AI module, it actually associate male-related words to the past hires, experiences, and stronger candidates, and then filter the CVs from female candidates. So that's the reason actually AI tool was unsuccessful, and Amazon had to actually scrap whole tool at the end, and it was a huge burden on them, both from the media side and both from the financial side. So the question here, what would you do differently? What is the main issue, do you think, at this stage? What they should have done before using this AI tool? Would you spot this issue, or which step of the Christian methodology would you actually go back and check? Yeah, I see some steps like evaluation. We can check from evaluation. Definitely, you can implement the model internally and see what type of candidates they generally filter out. You can check the CVs. So data is the problem, right? There's a bias in the data. There's heavy male dominant data sets, and we will cover this in the upcoming lectures. But where there is a bias in the data, machine learning tools are quite actually successful to learn from that bias. Unfortunately, some of them are quite prone to bias issue. Yeah, data understanding, work on the bias, sample testing. Yeah, really, really good answers. Okay. So we are over the time. So I will just have the second question. I'm not going to ask you to run VVox, but you can directly type into the chat. What would you do for the second question? Again, it asks the most important maintenance activity. These are all important, but one of them is much more important than the other one. ABC, what would be your answer? A, ensure that all users are reviewing the model results in a timely fashion. B, determine if there has been a change in the model accuracy over time. C, ensure that all users understand the data mining model. Yeah, I see B's. Yeah, that's correct. So well done to you all. You survived the first lecture. I hope you enjoy. I couldn't finish the slides, but this was expected already. So we will continue to discuss in our workshop lecture either next Monday or Tuesday. So any questions that you have, I would be happy to take. Yeah, B is the correct answer. Any prep. So, okay. I seen one any prep, but since lots of things are happening in the chat now, I couldn't see the whole message. For the workshop, you don't need to do any preparation. You just need to make sure that you have Python up and running. We will go step by step. So as I mentioned, our main priority is not on the programming side, priority is for the content side. So I want you to understand what we are doing rather than memorizing the code. So coding part would be easy. We will go all together. I will make sure that you all have a good understanding, but you don't need to do any preparation before the workshop. Just make sure you have Python running. You can use Google Colab, but it requires Gmail account, or you can use Jupyter Notebook, which can be directly actually activated using Anaconda. If you have Anaconda, and if you just check Jupyter Notebook, I will also post a link after this lecture. I will post a link for you to just have a little bit practice, okay? But you don't need to do any preparation. Okay, let's see the questions. I covered this in a preparation required for the workshop. Can you please let us know exactly which chapters, articles to read in the reading materials? I posted on the module page. For this lecture, it is chapter 2. It actually covers the steps of CRISP-DM methodology. And it has some additional reading as well inside. Please feel free to explore it. Today's lecture is mostly from chapter 2. And it is already posted on, if you check week 1, study materials week 1, introduction, I posted required sections in the introduction part of the study materials, okay? And there is another question. Thank you, Sebastian, for the answer. Are there any other frameworks other than CRISP-DM that have come up in recent times, maybe an alternative version of this? Yes, there are alternative frameworks, definitely. There is always an alternative, but more or less they have the same kind of structure. We start by business understanding. The naming is different, and the steps is a little bit different, but overall framework is, the big picture is exactly the same. You start with your problem definition, data definition, model building, evaluation, and then implementation. CRISP-DM is the mostly used one in industry. One question from Nat, please recommend lightweight Python EDE to use. If you use Google Colab, actually, you are asking for EDE. Okay. If you can post to the module forum, we can look into that, okay? The nice thing with Google Colab, actually with Jupyter Notebook, is that I will post some explanations how you can perform specific functions or what alternatives you can use. I will put some links to direct you to the related, let's say, web pages. That's the reason I prefer Jupyter Notebook. Google Colab has AI involved, so it can help you to resolve your errors. But for Python ED, if you can post it, we can look into that and come back to you. Are there any certifications available related to this module? So there's Informs ACAP. And if I type message, can you see the message as well? Can you see my messages? There's Informs ACAP certificate, but it requires, the eligibility criteria change generally every year, but it requires you to have a degree in business analytics first. So after you complete your degree here, you can apply for the certificate, and they are generally based on exam. So you need to take an exam, and Informs ACAP, these questions actually are from Informs ACAP exam. So the module content overall overlaps with the Informs ACAP certificate requirements. There is also certification from Amazon, Microsoft, and some other professional bodies. Informs ACAP is well known in the US. It depends on where you are going to look for a job. So if it is US based, let's say target market, then Informs ACAP is a great alternative. If you are looking for something in Europe, Amazon, Microsoft, they're also very well known. Okay. Any other questions? I hope you enjoy, by the way. I was expecting some comments, feedback. I haven't seen. I hope this is a good sign. Please let me know if I go fast. I try to slow down, but don't feel worried. We will go together during the whole year, whole term. So if you feel lost, just let me know. That's the most important part. If you can't ask for help, I can't help you. But if you hear from your alumni, we are always here to help you out. So just let us know, okay? Whenever you need help. Okay. Thank you all. I will see you either on Monday or Tuesday, and actually looking forward to it. Have a great week and weekend. See you. Okay, let me stop screen share and